Well, people have been crying out for it, and it's now here. Well, I mean, it's not actually here for like another couple of months still. In fact, longer than that. But still, there's information about it. So let's talk about it. Now, I put a video out a couple of weeks ago when I took the dog for a walk talking about what it would take for me to actually play TBC Anniversary. I must admit, from the video, a lot of the things have actually been ticked off with the blue post that went out yesterday talking about the changes that they're implementing. And there was one thing that I noticed that I've not even seen anyone talking about, which is the increased level cadence, which for someone like me is brilliant, because the one thing I'm not a fan of when it comes to vanilla TBC, I would say that's about it. When you get to Wrath of the Lich King, the leveling speeds up anyway, but it is the slow leveling. So firstly, what do we know? The pre-expansion patch releases on January the 13th. Now, we would imagine it's only going to be a couple of weeks of pre-patch until actual launch, so later on in January, we'll get launch. Now, it's this first line with the new features. Your journey continues with a level increase to 70, an increased level cadence, and a slew of other features. Now, what I'm kind of hoping is that the increased level cadence, they're not talking about the fact that the old vanilla 1 to 60 actually gets nerfed, and it is actually the 60 to 70 portion that's being made quicker, which is kind of what I would guess it is. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about all the different features in TBC Classic, and I'll be honest with you, this is not the start of a new trend. I'm not really going to be making any TBC Classic Anniversary videos, just because, honestly, anything you want to find is already on the channel. I've got TBC playlists covering all classes, podcasts back in original TBC with all TBC private server players, and even all like changes that were made throughout the phases which you'd kind of expect to see from day one. So feel free to browse through all of those. And obviously it won't be long until Rested XP post their TBC guide, so if you're used to following the blue arrow, I'll put a link in the description below. Keep an eye on it. Instead, what I want to talk about is the changes that they're actively making to the Anniversary edition of TBC. Now, I said what I would need changed or new things that I'd need implemented to even consider playing another version of TBC when I took the dog for a walk. Have they ticked any of those off? I'll be honest with you, they've ticked the vast majority of them off, and more. And on the basis, as soon as the Epic Edition was available to buy, I bought it instantly last night because I wanted the mounts for my retail account. I do now have a 58 boost sat there waiting to be used on Anniversary, so it would kind of be rude not to use it. But firstly, Heroic Dungeons. If you don't know, the first thing that you need to be doing is getting revered with all of the factions to be able to get in their associated dungeons on Heroic difficulty. Now, this is a big deal because there's two things that you're going to be wanting to do. That's get attuned for the raids, of course, and possibly get the Blackened Urn. The Blackened Urn is used to summon Nightbane in Karazhan. To be able to do both of these things, you need access to the Heroic Dungeons. So part of the leveling process, or what you should bear in mind, is how you can maximize the amount of reputation that you're going to get on your way to 70 anyway, so you're pretty much revered with everyone pretty quickly after reaching level 70. Now, many reputations have got repeatable hand-ins as well, like Coilfang armaments for Cenarian Expedition, which most druids are going to be obviously trying to get as many as they can because they're going to want to get their Earth Warden. But ultimately, you want to be revered with all of the main factions to have the key to be able to get into the heroics. The thing is, it's really annoying doing it more than once. So what Blizzard have added is the fact that you'll be able to get a bag that's got a bind on Battle.net account key that you can send to your alts. Now, you're going to need friendly reputation to be able to use the key, but to be fair, you'll pretty much be friendly with everyone just from leveling to level 70. And then again, you can hand in things in Shatra, for example, to be able to get up to friendly with like the Shatar, because you're going to get Shatar rep at the same time as handing in for Scryers or Aldor rep, which will get you to 70. And then there's like repeatable hand-ins for Lower City as well. Like, basically, you'll never really need to go out of your way to worry about your alts getting friendly. Getting friendly is basically free. So the fact that you're going to be able to get in Heroic Dungeons on your alts extremely quickly, and it sounds like we're going to have an increased level cadence, they're definitely wanting to make TBC alt friendly, which does interest me. The same goes for the raids. Now, the attunement for the raids are pretty epic. I must admit, I enjoy doing them once, but doing them more than that is just damn right annoying. So the same thing is going to stand here. Once you're attuned to the raid on one character, everything on your Battle.net will also now be attuned to that raid. So you're only going to have to do the Karazhan attunement once, which, don't get me wrong, that's not a bad one, but Black Temple, all of those things, you're only going to have to do them once, and then you can get in on alts. It's just a shame there's no GDKPs, because this would be great, just being able to jump straight in GDKPs on alts, but that's a different story. Now, the raids will be released in their post-nerf state, and this is what I'm seeing a lot of noise about, and people was asking me what I thought about it, because back in the day, as in an original classic TBC, not original TBC, I was one who was crying out for pre-nerf raids. is it really a good thing? Does Anniversary really need, I don't know, Lady Vash? Because that's really the only relevant one. Yes, there's even some sort of post-nerf versions of Karazhan, and we had a nerfed version of Karazhan in the original classic TBC beta, and then they went pre-nerf. So I'm kind of hoping that Karazhan is still a little bit difficult, as in the post-nerf was an absolute joke. It was like a glorified dungeon, whereas pre-nerf in the relevant gear was actually, it was still pretty easy, but it still had a little bit of challenge to it. So I'm hoping when they're talking about post-nerf raids that it's really specifically like SSC and TK later on down the line, because a lot of guilds couldn't do Lady Vash in a pre-nerf state. It took the post-nerf state to be able to get it down. And Anniversary is probably going to move fairly quick. So I'm on board with the post-nerf state overall, even if that did include Karazhan, which you're probably not expecting me to say, but I've got to be honest with you, if I am going to play TBC Classic Anniversary on the side, I don't want to be banging my head against the wall on certain bosses with whatever guild I decide to join. If your guild's recruiting, actually, let me know, because I'll be looking for one. If I play, and I will just caveat with that. The only thing that's making me want to play is the fact I got 58 boosts sat there, but whatever. Anyway, back to the changes. One that was obviously going to come was raid-wide heroism and bloodlust. So basically, there's no more group swapping with shamans, just literally funneling it to your warlocks or your hunters, just moving one shaman in, popping lust. Once that's down, next shaman in, pop lust. It's such a stupid way of playing the game. So I'm pleased to see that change. They already addressed drums from level working in classic TBC the first time round, where it added a tinnitus effect, so you could only just benefit from one person in the group having level working rather than having 4 people in the group with level working and being able to chain drums back to back, so you've got 100% uptime on it. So it was kind of obvious they was going to do something this time round with Hero and Bloodlust as well, so great job there. The increased Terracone respawn rate, I've got to be honest with you, while it was quite annoying in original TBC because it is like the good flasks and good potions that need Terracone, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's not a change that I'm going to sit here and like dress up into something fantastic. I mean, it's just decent. The UI edit mode is one that you might not expect many people to be really raving about, but I am one who will rave about it because yes, I like the edit mode in retail. I don't use Bartender in retail, I use nothing. I use the base UI, whereas obviously in a TBC Anniversary or Classic Anniversary or even Mr. Pandaria, I would need things like Bartender, maybe move anything to be able to put different things where I want it. Well, having that built into the base game, yeah, brilliant, really good addition. And then you're going to get the guild bank from the start, where that actually came later on down the line. And of course, we've already had changes when it comes to Anniversary, and I feel a bit cheeky saying we've already had changes because I'll be completely honest with you, on Anniversary, I haven't even got past like level 23, I think my highest level character is. But it's no secret that I'm no lover of vanilla. But TBC, maybe. So the PTR for it is actually opening soon this week, and yes, I will be jumping on it. I probably will stream it actually right here on YouTube. I am going to be streaming a lot more on YouTube actually going forward, as well as Kick. Obviously I'm not disappearing from there, but it will be midnight and maybe TBC, but I'll definitely be jumping on the PTR because I'm interested to see how different the leveling speed is going to be, just how much they've cut it by, if they have cut it and they're not just referring to the 1 to 60 portion of the leveling being increased. Now I know a lot of people was expecting TBC Hardcore Realms, and they've said there's gonna be no TBC Hardcore Realms, which makes me a little bit sad because that was probably one version of TBC that I could have kind of been half tempted to play again, just because TBC Hardcore is not something that any of us have done without, I don't know, maybe just enforcing your own hardcore rules back in original classic TBC. But there are going to be none of those, so that's pretty sad, and you are going to have to make a decision at the end of Classic Anniversary as to whether you move to a Classic Era realm or you move on to TBC. At the moment, it don't look like there's going to be any cloning, but I would guess that they will realise that a lot of people will actually pay to clone their character, and little cash grab there, much like the epic and heroic editions for the second time round. And yeah, I'm a mug, I had to buy it again. I just wanted the mounts and the pet and the toy and all that on retail, so for me it was worth it, and I happened to get a 58 boost just in case. Look, overall, the one thing that I'm more surprised about than anything, including any of these changes, is the fact that they're actually dragging this out until towards the end of January. I really thought they would have had the pre-patch out in December, quite honestly, with maybe a launch late December, early January. But at the same time, I kind of see it as a good thing because it gets the holiday period out of the way. You haven't got to be slaving away doing your reputations and attunements and everything over Christmas when you should really be spending that time with your families. So I do completely get it. But they've already made some great changes in Anniversary that's going to have such a big impact in TBC. Playing TBC with dual spec is going to be huge. Like, literally, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. There's a couple of things for me that could seal the deal and get me to play. And I think firstly, that would be some class tuning. It's really nice when the known becomes unknown. So just some subtle class tuning, not go mad, maybe even tweaking gear sets a little bit, as in set bonuses, 2 sets and 4 sets. An example would be, I would play a Feral Druid again. I always would in TBC, it would always be a Feral Druid. And it would be nice if you had sort of your head enchant that you get from the reputations, if you could get the Wolf's Head enchant, so you could actually use like your tier head, for example. That way you're going to get a little bit of extra power because you're going to get the extra stats from being able to use your tier head as feral DPS again. It would be nice if you could have the Zangarmarsh head enchant on at the same time, but that might be asking a little bit much. But just seeing some tweaks and tuning to some of the classes to bring some of the lower performers in the first phase of content up, and maybe the overperformers, well, leave them where they are. Just bring everyone up to the top, or as best as you can. And then the second thing would have been to actually take the characters to retail at the end of TBC. And I know I talk about retail a lot, but you know, that's where my focus has been now for like a month, and you've already seen midnight videos going out, so it should come as no surprise. But actually being able to know in advance what's happening with these characters, or for them to confirm in advance right now that Wrath is going to happen. Because again, I've said that I'm never going to go backwards. I've said it on my Discord, I've said it publicly on stream, I've said I am only playing retail from now on. I'm never going back to any of these expansions again. But then when they get announced, I do get a little bit excited. And I think the prospect of Wrath being after TBC and it being announced now, rather than getting towards the end of TBC, then Classic Plus is coming, and there's going to be no Wrath Classic, well, Wrath Classic Anniversary. You know, there's a lot of little things that Blizzard could let us know about now, which would impact some of our decisions to play. And again, knowing Wrath was afterwards possibly would give me a little bit of a kick up the bum to go and play, or at least knowing that I'd be able to take the character and everything it earns over to retail. But anyway, it's great news for all of you that have been waiting and you're mega excited about TBC. As I say, there's loads of TBC content on the channel. Just type in Scottejaye Classic TBC in the search bar and you'll see loads. So basically everything you need to know about any classes, professions. There shouldn't be that much out of date information. There might be the odd little bit, but overall it should still stand, because currently they've not made any changes to classes anyway. If you enjoyed the video, as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.